So these soldiers guard various Erd trees throughout the lands between, using a combination of poison and spears to keep people at bay. But how would a Guardian cosplay actually work in practice? I'm Bitesized Otaku, and in this video, we'll be looking at how a Guardian build could work and seeing whether or not we can make any improvements. But like the video and give it to me bite-sized. So for the vanilla version, the Guardian wears the Guardian set with either the Guardian garb or the full bloom version, which gives improved stats. I've opted for the full bloom version, and we have okay defense, which is pretty abysmal against fire, which these enemies are weak against, and 32 poise. For our weapons, we have the Guardian sword spear, which I've infused with keen and comes with spinning slash. This weapon benefits from a keen scaling the most, which means that our stats should reflect a dexterity investment. Spinning slash will spin our weapon twice with an overhead swing on the third strike, but can be interrupted due to a lack of hyper armor. The Guardians also have an attack where they release a mist of poison, and we have two options for dealing poison damage, via either the weapon art Poisonous Mist or the incantation Poison Mist. I've opted for the incantation as it looks a bit more like what they would use, and this is cast using the finger seal. We don't have any talismans equipped, and I've opted for these stats on a level 137 Vagabond, maximizing our dexterity investment so we can benefit from our keen infusion. But how does it play? The Guardian sword spear is a good weapon which can suffer from a lackluster range, but this is compensated by the brilliant scaling and moveset. While our regular swings are better at close range, our rolling swings struggle to hit enemies, and our running thrust is a saving grace, dealing great damage at a decent distance. At close range, our regular swings can slap and punish enemies with quick attacks, and our jumping attacks can be useful for catching enemies by surprise. But spinning slash is a tad slow and suffers from a lack of hyper armor, meaning it can be difficult to finish the combo unless you successfully stagger the enemy, and even then they can dodge roll. The damage also isn't anything special on a single hit, meaning it's often better to do a running thrust or regular swing. And lastly, poison is pretty useless as enemies won't just stand still enough for you to land the effect, and it's a really inferior version of Scarlet Rot, which is easily cured. Even in PvE, poison won't be very useful as enemies move around, but luckily our varied moveset will give us the upper hand when fighting, as well as dealing quick and dirty damage to larger foes. But are there any problems? Yes, we have a few problems, such as a lack of poise or hyper armor, making it difficult to complete our attacks when facing aggressive enemies. We also don't have any ranged options to finish off opponents or apply pressure, meaning we're having to fight up close and dirty. We could also benefit from swapping out this weapon art for a better one. So let's make some adjustments. Let's swap out our gear for the Leyendale Knight Gauntlets and Banished Knight Greaves for a bit more poise and better defense, and switch out Spinning Slash for Sword Dance on our Guardian Sword Spear while keeping the Keen Infusion. We can also use the Golden Order Seal to cast Pest Threads, Discus of Light and Electrify Armament. For our talismans, I've opted for the Shard of Alexander, the Erd Tree Favor +2, the Crimson Amber Medallion +2, and the Bull Goat's Talisman on a level 137 Vagabond using the following stats. And this will bring us a much needed improvement to the build, starting with Electrify Armament, which gives us a nice damage boost while making us look awesome, and even though the overall damage is slightly lower than our previous stat distribution from an AR perspective, we get the benefit of having both physical and lightning based attacks. Sword Dance deals fantastic damage with rock hard hyper armor, making it difficult to get interrupted, and we have the benefit of performing a delayed third strike. Discus of Light and Pest Thread suit the build's look by giving us both a nature style attack and a holy style attack to chip damage at enemies' health and finish enemies who are low on health, with Pest Threads having brilliant tracking. You may still struggle against more heavily armoured opponents who don't flinch easily, but against anything else, you will stand a fair chance at winning, providing you manage your spacing. But to wrap this up, this build takes the Guardian with a simple moveset and expands it to add in lightning fast attacks alongside ranged options to provide some variety in combat, allowing you to stand a chance against tougher builds or close the gap against ranged players. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course subscribe. This is Bitesized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.